Don't make it real. They don't really wanna hear the real no more. Think they scared how I make them mad. And you can say anything you want about me. I ain't tripping, that don't make it fat. Look, coming live from the gutter like a cold puddle. When niggas water whipping road, shovel motherfucking hole, huddle, Dutch burning, moving slow. I'm feeling like a minute hand. All wishes granted to me, turning in a tenant van. Been a man, never question nothing that was in the plan. See it from my third eye vision, so I understand. Poolside plotting moves like a dance team. 100 band scheme in the dirty with my hands clean. Never been the type of nigga that can castrate. 5th grade, I was selling candy to my classmates. I ain't call her back, I let her think about the last date. Student of the game, and I promise you not a classmate. Problem is with these rap niggas, they move iffy. In my mood picky, can't let these niggas get rude with me. God spitting on to keep my dick lips in it. Hit the fucking game, niggas acting like I slipped in these small town fly shit. But you never heard of these on my apex shit. Tip top vertices, hit they mouth moving, but they never moving vertically. Hit a purge the niggas who be practicing the perjury. Black Lord, noble, true shit, big stepping. Love them all, give a fuck about the click repping. Small losses always taught a nigga big lessons. Quit stressing, liberating knowledge, make the shit lesson. They don't really wanna hear the truth no more. Think they scared how I make them feel. And you can say anything you want about me. I ain't worried, that don't make it real. They don't really wanna hear the real no more. Think they scared how I make them mad. And you can say anything you want about me. I ain't tripping, that don't make it fat. They don't really wanna hear the truth no more. Think they scared how I make them feel. And you can say anything you want about me. I ain't worried, that don't make it real. They don't really wanna hear the real no more. Think they scared how I make them mad. And you can say anything you want about me. I ain't tripping, that don't make it fact. That don't make it fact. Seem like every captain gotta maintain the cap. You can make change, don't change for that. Tell the whole truth, get paid for that. Bet you never fall off, you was made for that. You gotta be who you really be, shine from the inside. Cause niggas ain't really who they say on the outside. You gotta be who you really be, shine from the inside. Cause niggas ain't really who they say on the outside. Started around the city with my day one niggas. I ain't gotta worry cause they A1 niggas. Wantin' in the field and you can't come with us. My little shorty going stupid, going straight dumb with us. I'm a big time nigga, still humble in the hood. Gotta keep it positive on nothing but the good. When I'm on vacation, I be stunting like I should. Got a real queen falling, she gon' stumble on the wood. And I still be doing business with my brother now. And I know that if I got it, I'ma cover them. And I know that if I need it, they gon' give it back. Gotta practice what you preachin', I be living that. Taking trips around the globe, bringing game back. Touchdown hood, happy that I came back. Take a photo with my granny for the memories. And if it's for a good cause, I'm buying 10 of these. Seem like every captain gotta maintain the cap. You can make change, don't change for that. Tell the whole truth, get paid for that. Bet you never fall off, you was made for that. You gotta be who you really be, shine from the inside. Cause niggas ain't really who they say on the outside. You gotta be who you really be, shine from the inside. Cause niggas ain't really who they say on the outside. Knee deep in the game and I'm still the same, nigga. Why you always hating? That's a damn shame, nigga. Gotta split the profits with the ones that came with y'all. The homies share the vision, yeah, we got the same picture. You won't catch me in the club, I like to meditate. I be higher than a bird, I like to levitate.
All right. Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, DMG the Poet, aka Brother Pianki. And we got another good show for you with two powerful brothers. The one and only Cap 10K Degal Gabor of ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. And the one and only B Wash. I call him the humble scholar. Before the brothers get into their dialogue, let me do my usual greeting. Let me say hotep to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Let me say God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Let me say shalom to my Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Let me say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Let me say what's up To all my atheist brothers and sisters, let me say peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of God's and earth. Let me say salute to my Aboriginal brothers and sisters. And finally, last but not least, let me say Jambo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here, in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only, is because if you're black, I'm with you, and I hope that you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting, and we can't have unity without uniformity. With that being said, Captain K, B. Wash, please reintroduce yourselves to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let the brother go first.
And either one can go.
Cool, I'll go ahead. I know Statesman here. I'm B. Wash, Byron Washington, just a humble guy trying to do my work in the community. Glad to be here, talk to the people. Had this great conversation with Cap and with you as well, DMG. Great support of the platform, love good dialogue. So, yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up, Captain K.
We in the building, you know who it is. You understand? I'm Captain DeGog aboard the ISUPK up of the Commander General Yohana. And today's discussion, you know, as everyone knows that, you know, we live by the Bible, you know what I mean, all the way from the front to the back. And we're going to show biblically, you know, saying how Africans are not our people. I'm pretty sure the brother's going to show how black people was Africans and swinging from trees like monkeys, you understand? But that's just not the case, you know what I mean? But I'm ready to get started.
All right, so the name of the discussion is, are Africans really our people? And of course, we are called African Americans. We say that we come from African descent. Cap, I'm gonna let you start off with the first question to B. Wash. He will have 8 minutes to answer your question. Of course, he doesn't have to use the whole 8 minutes. You will then have 2 minutes to respond, and then it will be his turn to ask you a question, and the same times will be afforded to you. So I'm gonna let you start it off, and I'm gonna mute my mic.
All right, no sweat, brother. Real quick, you believe in the Bible, right, brother? You call yourself a Christian, right, B. Wash? Can the brother hear me, DMG? Oh, I can't hear you either now, DMG.
B. Wash, can you hear Cap? I think he might be froze.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at it now. I think he is froze.
Okay.
Yeah, he got to fix that. He got to jump out and come back in.
Yeah, he definitely froze. Let me kick him and see if we can get him back in.
Yeah, he froze. I just knew he wasn't smiling at me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh man, only no man smiling at me. You know.
Yeah, I sure was like, oh man, you know.
And
But yeah, we'll let the brother come back in and finish this dialogue on off. But we ain't gonna be before y'all too long. Cap got 1 million businesses he gotta attend to, and 2 million wives he gotta take care of. So y'all already know he ain't gonna be in here too long.
Oh man, here you go. Here DMG go.
I'm just saying. Hey, you know I ain't exaggerating, not too much anyway.
Yeah. So hey, long as I don't know you ain't been the one to exaggerate. So you know you right.
You know, that's why you got them million businesses, so you can take care of them million wives.
Hey man, look at her. Look at
I ain't
her.
gonna go too.
We gotta do what
I
we
ain't
gotta
gonna go
do.
too far. I ain't gonna tell the people how many kids you got or nothing like that. I ain't gonna tell the. I ain't gonna, talk
We gotta
about the
do
kids.
what
Now
we
you
gotta
come looking
do.
for me.
Oh no, I don't. Hey, I don't think you'll never talk about them. Just saying how many I got. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's all good.
And now, brother, I think that's a brother. I don't know if that's a brother or a sister. I ain't mad at all. I'm actually happy for him. Salute.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one thing, DMG. Whoever it is, you got the chat up, DMG. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's up. I just put the comments, the comment up.
Oh, that's my Charlotte. That's my chat killer right there. So we just make it look easy. Damn right, it's work.
Oh, okay. He must got a few.
That's the chat killer.
I don't know what happened. My computer just decided they wanted to try to push an update without my permission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it literally just went.
Yeah, we saw it was like, it looked like the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, apologies.
You kind of low too.
Apologize.
You a little low too, BY.
Hold on a second. Let me get myself straight.
Yeah, it kind of went low like it did, and then.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and mute out and let y'all rock, but I'm gonna be keeping the time.
I'm good now.
Okay, you can hear me now though, brother, right? Okay, most high correct. I said you do believe in the Bible, right? You call yourself a Christian, right? Okay, so can you show in the Bible, or any source that will tell you that so-called African American people here in America, you understand, or via wherever we are actual Africans? Can you? Because I know you believe that, right? You believe that we Africans. So show us how, you understand, our people are Africans.
Okay, and you want me to show it biblically, right?
If you could, because that's the source I'm gonna be coming from. You know what I'm saying, to prove that we not. So I mean, well, whatever source that you have, however you can substantiate your claim, go ahead and break it down.
Well, I mean, I would start by, defining terms, because I think it would be improper to not worldview into using like a term Africa, because we know as a continental term, and even understand continents, that's not something in the biblical worldview at the time. They don't have these things that we would call continental distinctions. And so to define it in those terms, that's pretty tough. But that's for everything in general. I would, for defining us as Africa, as we call Africa today, the actual continent of Africa, the way we use today, I think it in my opinion, it's very clear based off of, primarily the transatlantic slave trade, in which they went into what we call continental Africa, specifically West and Central Africa, and got people who lived in those lands in whatever means, forms, and fashions, and brought them to what was later deemed the Americas, in plural, North and South America. So if I'm using that terminology, I think that's pretty clear. But I want to make sure that I'm using Africa in the way we generally understand the terminology of Africa, because again, if you try to pull even the word Africa out of the Bible, you won't find that term. But it's not because it doesn't exist. From a foundational standpoint, it's because the writers and people in their worldview are not looking at things from a continental unifying standpoint. It's more nations, tribes, villages, empires later, in that type of kingdoms, that type of worldview. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But I just wanted to make sure, because I don't want us to be talking past each other and using different terminologies and kind of going back and forth. And so that's the paradigm that I'm coming from when using the term Africa. Now, if you correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm open for dialogue on it too. Are you looking for something that's a continental unifier from the Bible, or a ethnic unifier from the Bible, tribal? So I kind of know a little more clarity what you're asking.
Okay, now, oh, I'm on mute. Okay, however you could substantiate those people and our people being the same people, however you can prove that, go ahead and do so. You understand?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah. So I mean, at first I would start with just the records from the transatlantic slave trade. That's pretty obvious. I live in Louisiana, and fortunately, it being a French state, they took a lot of records, and I think you guys are in St. Louis as well too. So you kind of share that shared heritage. French and Spanish particularly took a lot of records of the areas that they went into. So between the archives here in Baton Rouge, where I'm at, and New Orleans, there's actually a plethora of specific tribal, ethnic groups that they got their people from, that they marked down. Give a second, I'll pull a book to kind of show that of where the people in Africa that they got
Really? So are you from? Oh, okay. I thought you had stopped. I'm sorry.
So that's where I was start. Now the question is more or less like, well, who are those people, like that were in West Africa at the time of that? Then that's that's more of a follow up. But if you're asking me where we're coming from, here in the Americas in plural, that's where I would start at.
Okay, so where is the so how you gonna prove that? Like what you gonna show me? Like, are you talking about like the manifestos?
No. It's not really I think that's more of a given knowledge. I don't think you would disagree that people came from, on the continent of Africa, West and Central Africa, people were taken from that area, correct? Like
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Would disagree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. But here's my thing. Now, speaking of slavery, right, and the slave trade, you do know that back then, when they were selling us, they never said that they had an African for sale. Do you recall that? You know what they called us?
I would say it depends on who, because you get plethora of terms. You get Negro, you get Black, you get African, and then sometimes you would get designations of the tribes that they got them from.
Okay, now
the linguistic tribes.
I got you. Now let me ask you this, because something that you said I know is false. You just said that they called us sometimes Black, sometimes Negro, sometimes African. They never called us Africans. Never. And when you look this up, right, you'll find all of like the old papers. I brought this out before, in newspaper articles and postings and all of that back then. It said Negroes for sale. Or it did say Black sometimes. You see Black sometimes, but it mostly said Negroes, right? And it never said Africans, because they know we not them people. So and then when you look at the manifestos, right, those are like the receipts, like a bill of sale, okay? It never specified an African on no manifesto. It always said either Negro, or it said mulatto, and mulatto is a so-called mix between the male, the black male, and the white female, and you would never see African. So show me something that said African for sale on it back in history, because I'm
Okay.
actually going to pull the manifestos and show the receipts. Yes, I
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
whole
I mean,
bunch. And listen, I got some from New Orleans too.
I think in this, I think camera might hit.
That might be the time. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. On the no. What I'm saying is that while I disagree with you, Ed, on that is that I'm not saying that the term Negroes or blacks wasn't used. I wouldn't even say that it wasn't the majority term used. What I'm saying is that we do see sales of Africans, like the term Africans.
Where?
Like there, if
Where?
you have a chance, to look
Where?
up, like
I've looked it up. I looked it up.
Charleston City Gazette is one of them, right? Well, you will see in the title, it will say Africans for sale. And then it will tell you the specific type of people that they got. I think in that one it says like prime, like Congo Negroes or something like
And
that.
what did you say this
So,
is?
It's the Charleston City Gazette, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That might be in South Carolina.
You
if I'm not
should
mistaken.
look it up.
1804, 03, 05, one of those three.
You should look it up.
Sir?
I said you should look it up. You know what I'm saying? And post it and share it.
Yeah.
Because what I know that they started doing is.
But Captain, here's my thing when it comes to this using that terminology. You're talking about a process that started 1500s to 1800s, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about how many European nations involved in the slave. You got the Portuguese, the French, the Spanish, the English, and the Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
At different time periods and across the Americas, plural, like I said. So, I'm saying is that I'm not disagreeing with you that the terms black and Negro weren't used, but I'm also saying that the term Africans was used. As a matter of fact, I'm actually looking at one currently.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I said, that's just kind of to answer your question. I mean, we can. I know it's not the basis of everything we're talking about today, but I just wanted to say, like, I'm not disagreeing with you that those terms aren't used. I'm just saying that the term Africans was also used from Europeans on different levels. Because I mean, something may be true in South Carolina, but that may not be true in Mississippi, or may not be true in Arkansas or Louisiana or Tennessee.
Froze up again.
I hear you.
Oh.
I hear you, but let me say something.
Bro.
I got thousands. Oh, go ahead, DLG.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Damn. Yeah, he back. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're froze up. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry there.
No problem. Yeah, so here's the thing with that. I got thousands of manifestos from all over. And that statement that you made saying that in South Carolina and another place, something could not be the same, it could be different, it's not true. That's not true. This was all over.
Okay.
This was all over that they.
This your,
Oh, go ahead.
is this your response?
Yeah, this my response to the brother.
All right.
Yeah, this is my response. Like I said, the manifestos, and I'm gonna show them. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can get this up real quick. I'm gonna start with the manifestos and receipts. Let's see. Okay, is it showing? Is my screen showing, DLG?
No, sir.
It ain't? Okay, let me see. All right,
I don't know you, man.
it says
You
sharing.
go to present.
Yeah, it says sharing now. Hold on. Oh, wait. Shit. It ain't on the screen, DMG? There we go. I think it's coming up now.
Right now, though.
Yeah, I think it is.
To the,
Is it showing?
okay, so I got it
Okay.
pulled up.
You see where it say the New York Historical Society? Museum
Okay, can
and
you make it
Library?
bigger, Cap?
Damn it, 1 second. It's supposed to be full screen. I think it's going slow. Is it up?
I can see it. It's not as big, but I can see it.
It ain't big. God damn. Yeah, I don't know how to make it bigger than this. But if you could see it, let me see if I could blow it up, zoom in on the song. Let me try to zoom in on it a little bit.
I got it blown up, so the audience should be able to see it.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's doing this. But this is thousands of records in here, right? And if you can see this, it's got the name, and you can go through all of these, and it says Negro, mulatto, or person of color. It never says African. I got some in here. I'm glad you said Louisiana, but I got to go through it and find them. I got several of them from down there too that I bring out all the time, and it never says anything about an African. It always says Negro. Even when that, and something else that I wanted to say about that, those later findings and so-called historical thing records, like what the brother said, the Gazette. Some of that stuff is copies and fakes. Some of that stuff is fakes. It's not even authentic. It's not even real. You know what I'm saying? They just started making things here recently say Africans for sale. They just you look that up, you'll find that some of those things from back then, they're not authentic at all. It's all lies. You understand? So no African was actually sold on any ship or none of that, right? Then I'm gonna read this real quick and then I'm gonna get off into I think it's your question, right? No, I'm gonna let you get your question out before I take that shit, because I took up a lot of time with the screen. Well, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so I guess my question to you would be, if kind of getting to the meat, if you know, if we aren't Africans, right? I mean, that's the premise.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using, you know, in that region, there's because when we bring the term in Africa, we're talking about a continental origin or a continental foundation.
Right.
You know,
54
the
countries
only
or 56.
the only two options that we have left, to my knowledge, would be European or Asian. So if we are African, are we European or are we Asian?
We're neither. You understand? You left out the greatest damn nationality of them all, which is an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? That's
I didn't say nationality. Let me be more clear
race,
again.
whatever you
I
want
to
to
be
say.
succinct in my
Go
question.
ahead. Go ahead.
I want to be succinct. I'm saying when we use the term Africa, we're talking about a continent,
Mm-hmm.
a continental origin. In that region of the world, there's only two other options from a continental standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's Europe and there's Asia. If we aren't from the continent of Africa. The only two options we have from a continental standpoint would be Asian or European.
Well, you should know.
So that's my question.
You should know, like I know, that it doesn't matter about where you live or where you're from. That doesn't make you who you are. You should know this. You understand? I know you're an intelligent man, and you should know that it doesn't matter about you living on a continent, off a continent. Guess what? You could be born on a boat and live on it. What would you be there? You understand? What would you be if you lived on the sea? Okay? What if it's some people that's homeless and live in cars and in buildings, right? What would they be? You know what I mean? So wherever a person lives or is born at, that doesn't make them the people, right? So again, we would be neither. We're not Africans. You understand? Africans and so-called African Americans are not the same people. And the topic is, are Africans our people? And no, they're not. You understand? We ain't talking about Asians. We ain't talking about Europeans. You understand? We're talking about, are Africans our people? So you have to substantiate and prove that Africans are our people, and you haven't done so yet. And I'm ready to demolish every thought of black people being Africans or Africans being our people, because they're not. And they know they're not. I even got a video. I can't wait to play it. You understand? Matter of fact, let's just get into it now. Let me play this quick video of some real live Africans letting you know that we not the same people. All right, and then I'm going to get off into some other stuff too.
Always believed that
All
I
right, so
could
hold on
change
one
the
second.
better one
It's commercial.
and I did.
This is a video where African went around Rwanda, and asking how they feel about so-called African Americans, and we're gonna find out. Okay, now right here, here's the start right here. We're gonna listen to two of these, and they're gonna tell you that they know we're not the same people. Watch this.
Yeah.
Hello, so what's your name?
My name is Grain Mtesi.
And what do you do?
I'm barista.
A barista.
I'm making a coffee.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, my first question is, what do you think about black people in America?
Black people, American, I think is like an African people, but born in America. Yeah.
So basically the same.
The same. The same for what?
I see you did.
I got the impression that these women...
Did you see that? When she said, yeah, they are African people. And then he said, so basically they're the same. She said, the same for what? You understand? So then now he just said, I feel like they were being dishonest with me. So I found somebody else that could be honest.
were being
Right.
polite and not telling me the whole story. So I found a bold lady who would tell us how she really feels.
I'm gonna skip through that a little bit. So where you get straight to the discussion. Okay, there you go.
Alright, so what's your name? And what do you do? You study.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about what do you think about black people in America?
Black people in America think of, I think black people American, they don't like other black people in our country, like African.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's true. There's many black Americans who think that Africans are...
Of course, they're black American, they are shame, they don't understand our culture. Yeah.
So you don't like black Americans?
Yeah, I don't like black American.
Okay, but do you know any of them in real life?
What?
Do you know many black Americans in real life? Like, have you met many?
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah, I have many.
Watch this.
I have many.
Okay, so you've met them and you don't like them.
No, I don't like their culture because
Okay.
they're shit.
When you say they're shit, what do you mean by that? Have you met many black Americans?
Okay,
in
now
real-
hold on. I'm gonna pause it. Now you see, the first one said when he asked her, "So we the same?" And she said, "The same for what?" This one right here just said, "I don't like their culture. They're shit." You understand? They know that we are not the same people. Okay? You cannot prove that Africans are our people. It's not a coincidence. It's not a, go ahead.
I wanna, and Byron, you can cut me off if I'm misunderstanding. I wanna make sure we clear. So when he asks from a continental standpoint that it's only three options, Europe, Asia, and Africa, in terms of which one we would have had as our place of origin outside of where we at now. Where are you saying we came from then? If because you said neither one, but we had to, if we came over here from somewhere, which one of those three places would we have come from? Because you're not saying that we started here, are you?
Okay, this is what I'm saying right here. Now, as far as the land where we come from, when he asks that question, yeah, he's talking about the land, but of course the land is named after the people. Israel would be in Asia, right? So that's where we come from, right? So-called African Americans come from Israel, and we're Israelites. So that land would be in Asia, not in Africa, right? You know, the maps have moved, right? The white man has taken the maps and moved, you understand, the locations, okay? So, no, now we fled, you understand, into Africa, right? And that's how we got picked up and rounded up from there because, you know, of course, we got that book from Babylon to Timbuktu, you understand? Well, we were there in Africa, in Western Africa for about 1,500 years? You understand? About 1,500 years, had settled there when we was on the run from so-called white man, right? We went and hid amongst some people that we could hide, you know what I'm saying, and blend in with. So you wouldn't go around, you know, seeing a bunch of white people like, you know, in Wentzville where the predominantly white people live at, to try to hide out. You're going to try to hide out where some people look like you at. And we have been there for the longest, and they turn around, the Africans help round us up.
That's fine, Cap, but keep rocking it up.
Okay, no sweat. The Africans helped round us up and sold us to the white man. So, like, when you asking, like, where are we from as far as stuff like that, that's where we from, but we're not those people. We're not Europeans, we're not Asians, we're not Africans. We are Israelites. We are totally separate people. So, like I said, but you can't prove, you understand, none of what you're saying, and now I'm ready for the next part. Come on with it. Come on with the next question.
Okay, Byron, you got 2 minutes to respond to that, and then we'll get to the part where I ask each of y'all a question.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have too much to add to that because it took you a long time and DMG to clarify that to clarify the question, because I mean essentially you said it, but then at the end you kind of backed out a little bit because you said, you know, since Israel is in Asia, that would make us de facto Asian, right?
That's why I said what I said first. That's why I said what I said first, that we're not those people. That's what I said first, because I knew that's where you was going. Go ahead. Come on with it.
I'm just saying, because the premise of my question is that, again, you know, from an origin standpoint, you have three options. So you dismiss Africa, I mean, and I think we all agree that we're not European. I think we can all, you know, throw a parade on that. But then, you know, you roundabout, you didn't want to land the plane fully, but, you know, you said that Israel's in Asia. You know, if asking the question continentally where you're from, then you would, you know, you're saying Asia. So, you know, I just want to get to a deeper foundational question, because now that we understand, okay, foundationally, you're saying that so-called African Americans, respectfully as you use the term,
I did.
are essentially from Asia in foundations, and I'm saying that we come from Africa. So, you know, I'm all that roundabout way for us to land the plane there. But I think that might be my 2 minutes to
Yeah, but I knew that's where you was coming
You
from.
might,
That's why I was
yeah,
gonna
like 20
that's why I was
seconds,
gonna
20
tackle
seconds.
all of it.
Oh,
You
well, yeah,
understand?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Outside of the 20 seconds, I mean, that's a cool video you played. It was interesting that you went to Rwanda. Last time I checked, I think Rwanda's in like Central East Africa. Last time I checked, so it wouldn't. I mean, the questions that they
I'm gonna
asked
show
weren't
you. I'm gonna tell
necessarily
you
the
why I went
premise
there.
that you were asking.
Right.
You know, you know, I think I agree that I think black people in the Americas are different, but that's because we have a different culture, a different background over 500 years here. But that doesn't mean we don't descend from an origin from the continent of Africa. I'm not saying we come from Rwanda, by the way, either. I'm not saying that. So, but from a continent, that's where I would say we come from, Africa. But I'm over my time, so I apologize.
No, you all good,
All
bro.
right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask each of y'all a question. You'll have the same amount of time, 8 minutes to answer it. Of course, you don't have to take the whole 8. And I'll have my 2 minutes to respond, and then I'll go to the next person. So I'm gonna start with Cap. Well, actually, I'm gonna start with B. Wash because Cap, I think, started it off. So I started off with B. Wash. So it's a separate people from Asia, Europeans, and Africans, and I think that he can back that up with scripture. And so, with that being the case, would you argue against the biblical explanation that the brother is giving for Israel being a separate people from those other people that he named? Or the people that you named, as far as the continents, Europeans, Africans, and Asians?
Yes, because I believe on the premise, the biblical worldview isn't establishing continental origin in the sense that we're using. It doesn't give categories of strictly who's Asian, who's African, and who's European from a continental origin standpoint, the way we do today. Biblically, we're talking about nations, tribes, empires, kingdoms, etc., with different people groups. So I would classify Israelites as a nation, tribal group, ethnic heritage, kingdom or 2 kingdoms. So that's where I would put that at. To say, I think it's a false equivalency to put it at, Israel equals Asia, because Asia, anybody does good geographical studies, Asia is so wide and so many different continental origins. Kind of countries, tribes, linguistic groups, even genetic makeups, etc. I think you gotta be under a rock to not understand the diversity within the continent of Africa itself. But for sake of discussion, Africa is the most diverse continent on the planet, and so it would keep me saying, comparing the Akan people to all of Europe. Well, that's you wouldn't do that, because that's a people group within a continent, a nation, a tribal people group within the continent of Africa, compared to the whole continent of Europe. And so for Israelites, from a continental standpoint, based off of what the brother stated, he would state that I'm not putting words in my mouth, just reading the statement. He stated they're Asian. They mean coming from the continent of Asia, so I'm clear. So they origin from the continent of Asia. Now, personally, I feel more comfortable saying, and I know this is more from a linguistic standpoint, but I feel comfortable saying Afro-Asiatic, because I think there's some cross in between Asia, the continent of Asia, and the continent of Africa, in the origin of the culture and the people group of who we know as the Israelites, and a number of people in that region. But again, that's my standpoint. Even where Israel proper may stand on the continental plate, there's some, there are some experts that does have it, on the African continent. So, that's me. I'm just going based off of what Brother Cap said. So I don't think I don't think biblically you would find that equivalency of saying something's African or something's European or something's Asian, because I don't believe biblically there's a worldview that substantiates a continental origin the way we do today.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I just do my 2-minute response, and what I'll do, if you don't mind, instead of me kind of responding, I'll ask another question. Do you think it's possible that people who have a similar phenotypical appearance to another people, like Cap is proposing would be the case with Israelites and Africans, do you think that one people could theoretically come into a continent, find a particular area within that continent, and sort of conceal themselves amongst those people for more than a millennium or a millennia and a half, according to the theory that's put forth? Do you think that that's possible? And if you do, then wouldn't that then make Cap's proposal possible?
I would say I think that's possible based off of just how people evolve or adjust to the environments that they come from. And so we have evidence to where you can go into, this is the easiest, New Guinea and Papua New Guinea, right? Well, one's in Africa, where because couldn't get into Ghana from, but Papua New Guinea is in Asia. Genetically, these people are not related whatsoever, but phonetically, you can see that, you put them right next to each other, without knowing the specifics of what to look for, you wouldn't see that big of difference. And we see that all the time in a myriad of different places, a myriad of different people groups. I always say, like the Khoisan people in South Africa, in our country, they look Blasian, right? We say they're Blasian, but nah, they completely African. But like you look at them, like, man, these people, you can put them in the middle of the forest in South Korea, Vietnam, and they look just like those people. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's plausible. And it's not to say, it's not even denying the fact that the Cap's premise of people being able to go into West Africa and blend in. I'm not opposing that possibility at all. But I think that people have the wherewithal to know, and they did know who was and who wasn't. And over time, as most things happen when people blend into another culture, you end up assimilating, married into, blending in, and becoming part of those different people groups. So that's where I was saying.
Last thing, given what you know about history, is it plausible that a people could be in a particular area of a continent where the indigenous people and not assimilate to those people's cultures, folk ways, and overall way of life? In other words, could you go into India for over 1,000 years and not essentially be Indian?
Is it plausible that it could not happen? I'm sure there's a plausibility and a probability that it could not happen. I don't think it's very high. I think it's very low. Especially you talk about antiquity and even that transition from antiquity to modernity. over 1,000 years is tough. I mean, you got people today, even today, you know, with all the technology and all the ability to withhold on language, cultures, etc., within one generation, end up taking the culture of the nation or people group that they end up sojourning with for that time. And so you multiply that 1,000 years, intermarriage, and etc. You're going to take on attributes of those people that you sojourn with, especially if you are coming in a state of distress. You know, so that means that you're not coming from a state of power. We're going to keep this and keep that. I think when you're somewhere else, you're going to eventually assimilate to those different people groups. Again, what level we can just, you know, we can always discuss to what level, what extent. Is it intermarriage, interbreeding? Is it linguistic? Is it cultural? Whatever. But I think the premise is that you will, especially over 1,000 years, you will become uniquely within those people as together. So.
Got you. All right, and I'm gonna get over.
You know, I'm surgical with this, Jay.
Go ahead, DMG. I'm with you.
So, my question for you, Cap. So, one of the things that we see in modern times with modern technology, with regards to the, especially like the Sahara Desert, but the deserts in Africa, period, but particularly with the Sahara Desert, which is the one that the Israelites, if they came into Northeast Africa, that's where they would have to kind of trek to get to West Africa. The probability of doing so and surviving is nearly impossible today with all of the technology that we have. And so with that being said, what is your explanation for how the Israelites in 70 AD were able to migrate from Northeast Africa to West Africa with the what we would call today primitive resources they would have had at hand then, and survive that excursion, when we know today men and women who have tried to make this trip with all the advantages and technological feats that we have, it's nearly impossible for them to do today. What's your explanation for how they were able to do it back then?
Okay, now first off, I would have to go through the scriptures and get the exact trail and where they went and all of that, right? I've heard what you just asked several different times before, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. It's in our records. Huh?
You got 8 minutes.
Okay.
If you want to pull up something.
No sweat. Okay, so in our records, right, this is, the Bible is not Christians made it a book of gospel music. You understand? When the Bible is actually a book of records, okay? And in our records, it explains how and what happened, right? When we were in Egypt, I'm gonna tell you something. Those Egyptians, they knew that we was not the same people, right? They would what you call.
I
know exactly what you're talking about, bro.
Okay,
but
I just want to make sure.
I'm getting to it though. I'm finna get to it. I got you. You know, I'm just saying, like, they knew that we was not the same people. I'm just going a little further back. You know, bring you, you know, say up to date. They knew we was not the same people. When you go in our records, it'll show how it was unlawful for us to even sit and eat with them. How we did not live in the same city that they lived in, right? So when Moses got us out of there, right, because they knew we was not the same folks, we turned around and left then. In 70 AD, when we fled, okay, guess what? They made it because they took us from there. So no matter whether the desert was, I'm pretty sure some people probably died along the way. You understand? Because they was on the run, right? And when you're on the run, you can get through whatever condition. You understand? When the popo is chasing you, it don't matter if it's snowing outside, if it's raining, it don't matter if it's desert, it don't matter if it's heat. You understand? You gonna do your best to get away. And that's what we did. So now by us being taken from Africa, right? Western Africa predominantly, we had to have gotten there some kind of way from Israel. You understand? So yeah, we made it. And like I said, and brother, what's his name? Rudolph Windsor. He actually went down there and did the real research after what is his name? Alex Haley. When he made that movie Roots, Alex Haley went and did it all wrong. He said that we was Africans that got sold off by other Africans, when that was not true. You understand? That was not true. Even though Roots was a extremely powerful movie and series, what is it, like 12 DVD? You understand? It was, guess what? It was a lie, because Africans sold us, and we was not just there by coincidence, already there because we was the same people. We were not them. We fled from Israel, got there, dwelled there for, like I said, about 1,500 years, and they knew we was not the same people. So we got there. We made it there because guess what? They took us from ships from there to here. So like I said, but I would have to go back through and check you know what I'm saying, what you were saying about the desert and all of it, and the trail and all that. I would have to look and see the specific route that they actually took to go over that.
Well, so you don't know, basically.
About the route? Yeah, I just said that. I just said no. I don't know the specific route that they took, but they did. But they made it there. You understand? Because the Africans, the Africans that sold us knew that we was not the same people, and we didn't just we weren't already there. You understand? We were not already there because we're not those people. We were not living there. You understand?
Okay, so when y'all say Africans sold y'all, do y'all have any what would they call it, records of Africans saying we sold Israelites or Jews or Hebrews or anything like that?
Absolutely. They knew, like for instance, when you look up in Africa, they got the land of Judah. We actually had our own spot when we was living there in there, and we had it was on the map. It was called the land of Judah. They knew we was not the same folks. You understand? And as far as a record,
Real quick, Cap, you said you mean in Africa that this place called, did you say Judah?
Yeah. We was living there for about 1,500 years, yeah.
This place was in Africa, you said?
Yes, I said when we fled there and we was living there for about 1,500 years. You keep did you miss it?
I'm just like I've never heard of this. That's why I'm kind of.
You ain't never heard of what?
A land in Africa.
Yeah, that's what we call the spot that we was living in. When we went and fled into their land and took over and started dwelling there, that's what we called it, the land of Judah. You can look that up. That was on the old map.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Oh, yeah.
I kid you.
I understand. You can look it up. It's on the old map. So yeah, but we weren't originally from there though. You understand? We are not the same folks. You understand? That's the thing. You're trying to say because it was in Africa that we were there. I'm not denying that. We were in Africa, right?
So
we was running from slavery from the white folks, right? And so
this land of Judah, when you say it's on an old map, so how old was this land of Judah?
Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because this was around the time in 70 AD when we in the.
Was it just?
Say it again, DMG.
That's settled. Like why is we even? If it was a land of Judah in Africa that was founded in the 70s AD, why is this even a question? Why is this even a debate?
I don't know, because you brothers really believe that we Africans. So somebody got to constantly tell you that you
You
ain't.
know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
If this place existed,
You hear me? Can you hear me, DMG?
now I'm asking about this place. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking about this place called Judah
Mm-hmm.
in Africa, because what I'm saying is if this place existed, why is it even a debate about who we are or whether or not Israelites were taken in slavery if this place existed? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. And it did exist.
Because I heard of.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, DMG.
No. I'm just. You said you was gonna pull something up. I'm just.
Yeah,
I'm anxious to hear about this. I've never heard about it.
Yeah,
Byron, have you ever heard of a land of Judah in West Africa?
I've seen I think it's a Portuguese map that says Ouida, and they couldn't pronounce it, and roughly says Judah, like an area.
That's what Google just pulled up. Now I know about Ouida.
Yeah, Ouida, and I know that.
Yeah,
and I know,
not that. Hold on.
From my understanding, the Portuguese and I want to say Portuguese and Spanish couldn't pronounce the African tongue the right way, so they just wrote Judah. But you see it sometimes with the O as well as the WHRJ. They couldn't pronounce it. If that's what you're referring to, that's the knowledge that I
No, I ain't talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about the land of Judah. Oh, I got it. Hold on. This one it's not letting me blow it up. Hold on. Let me find one where I can blow it up.
And it's a 70 AD map?
Just hold tight, brother. I got you. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah,
I can't get I cannot get it to blow up. 1 second. Hold on. Let me try to find another. Yeah, but like I said,
Okay.
somebody
Google
has
says
to somebody has
white,
to tell you.
White with an O or Ouida with a WHY. So if it's that area, Cap, then I know what you're talking about, but that don't have nothing to do with Israelites. That's white.
Yes.
So you saying this is a different place?
Yeah, I'm talking about the kingdom of Judah. Hold on, just 1 second, bro. Cause I got it here, but the images that they pulling up is small, and it's not it's not pulling up the big one. It's not letting me enlarge the image. Hold on, cause I got it, but it's gonna be real tiny. You can't really see it. Let me see. Here's another one. Wait a minute, 1 second. Damn, that's the same. It's all doing the same thing. It's not letting me pull it all the way up to where you'll be able to see it. I can see it on my laptop.
Consequently, do they spell it Juda? On the map that you have, is it spelled Juda?
It's Kingdom of Judah. If you look up Kingdom of Judah in Africa, see if you can get the image, and see if you can get a large.
Right now, but I don't know if it, respectfully, I don't know if it would help what you want it to say, because on the map that I'm looking at right now, it has Kingdom of Judah, Juda, and it has or WHYDAH, slave coast within the Benin territory. So if that's the area that you're talking about, I think that's what DMG is talking about. We're familiar with that one. I'm thinking you're talking about something separate, like something different.
Hold on.
Right.
Just 1 second. Hold on. Let me see. Cause it's got it here. It's coming up. Kingdom of Judah in Africa. You can Google that. See if you can get the image, DMG. Google that. Kingdom of Africa. See, Kingdom of Judah in Africa. JUDAH. It'll come up. And I cannot get the. Let me see. The image to blow up. Let's see. It's taking me to their website. Then it's blowing up.
8 minutes, I'll
You got it.
Yeah, we it's a bunch of stuff coming up, but I don't see nothing with the actual time. I mean,
Hold on, you went out.
We can move on. I don't
You went out, DMG. What you say?
cause yeah, I don't. I said we can move on because I don't see nothing with the actual term.
Okay, hold
I
on.
see a bunch of maps, but I don't see.
Yeah, it's a
I don't
bunch
see
of maps.
nothing with
but
the actual term.
hold on 1 second. It's a bunch of them. It's a whole bunch of them. But I'm trying to get the one, cause I can't. The ones that I'm looking up, the ones that's coming up, it's not blowing up. It's not enlarging. Even when I went to the website, they still.
The one that I see is still showing me that area that we know as wider, not a area. But we can move on. We can let y'all go into y'all Q&A where y'all question each other. I'm gonna give y'all 15 minutes to go back and forth. Just be respectful of one another with regards to answering the question. If you ask a question, get another person a chance to actually answer the question, and then ask you a question in return. And y'all kind of just go back and forth like that. Like I said, I'm gonna give y'all 15 minutes, and then we'll see if we actually have time to open it up for the chat. And y'all, time will start. Let's see. Click that slow.
Who going first, DMG?
Time will start when y'all start. So we'll start with Byron. Byron gonna ask you this time because you kicked it off by asking him.
Okay, no sweat.
Cool. All right, yeah. Brother 10K, I'm wondering, do you believe that the Bible gives us reference to continental origin of people, like continental foundation affinity, or does it lean more towards nation, kingdom, tribe, etc.?
It does explain where people lived at and where, what land they were in and stuff like that. But as far as when it comes to who you are as a people, it has nothing to do with that. It turns around and goes off of the bloodline, the line of men, the fathers. You understand? And the Bible tells who comes from who. Okay? And when you go to the Bible dictionary, right? And I'm gonna read this because a lot of people believe, that Africans are our people. You have not shown in no way, shape, form, or fashion how Africans are our people, right? And that's the whole topic. And I'm ready to show how they're not our people, because they are not. And when you go through in the Bible, Noah had 3 sons, right? Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And we don't come from the same son. You understand? We come from Shem, and they come from Ham. And here's the definition of Ham, right? Like I said, I brought out those manifestos to show you where it said we had Negroes for sale. And I got the original papers and postings. You know how people put postings on light poles and stuff like that around buildings and on door fronts and all that, businesses? I got the original ones, right? I looked all of that stuff up. And they all say Negroes for sale. Us being called Africans, I wish we had the time, but Jesse Jackson turned around and coined that phrase in 85, to where we started calling ourselves Africans then, because he said that we wanted a sense of royalty and we had to find it through another nation, when absolutely we come from royalty, but it's not from an African. But here's the definition of Ham. It says the youngest son.
Cap, that wasn't my.
Hold on 1 second. I answered that already, and now I'm
right,
finna get to this.
Follow up, brother. I'm
finna get to this real quick. Hold on 1 second. It says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons. Hold on. You interrupted me while I'm reading. Hold on,
We
you
only got
interrupted me
15
while I'm
minutes,
reading.
brother.
We got
Brother, we only
15 minutes, and you
So
interrupted me while I'm reading. I answered your question. I answered your
Respectfully,
question,
please
and now
ask me
I'm
the
finna give
next
you this.
question.
I got you. 1 second. I'm finna read this for you,
Brother,
and then I'm gonna ask you a question.
You answered.
I'm finna finish
Sure.
with this, and then
Look,
I'm gonna answer you the
your-
question. I'm
your
gonna ask you the
answer
question.
is-
I'm gonna ask you the
Please
question once
ask
I'm
me
done
the
with
next
this.
question.
All right, I got you. 1 second. Now,
Okay.
because my question is gonna be to prove that we Africans, and you haven't done it. So again,
Is
this
that your question? Because I can answer it.
no. 1 second. Let me read this before you do. It said
Well,
this
I'm
is a
not-
definition. And
Cap,
what's
you
up?
answered.
You
You
answered.
answered it.
I'm finna
He
ask.
answered
I
you
said
right.
I'm going to read this and ask him the question.
As the person who
I'm
asked
going to
question,
read this and ask him the question. That's what I just said.
Brother, we don't.
So this
Bruh,
is part of your answer, Cap?
this part of the question. This part of your question, bro.
Huh?
You just asked me something I answered, and now I said I'm going to read this and I'm going to ask you the question. The question is the same because you haven't answered. I just did. You're not listening. You want me to stop reading so bad when you ain't listening. I said I'm going to read this for you.
Okay.
This is in the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary, page 330, the definition of Ham. It says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. And then it says here in the Bible, this supports this, right? The Bible actually backs up what the definition of Ham says, is that the Negroes, the dark races, we dark, right? But we're not the same people. So again, prove how we are Africans, because nothing that you've said so far has proven that. So I wanted you to turn around and that definition I read you. I want you to respond to that, and then prove how we are Africans, how Africans are our people.
Okay, quick follow.
Go ahead.
Quick thing with that. If you look up the full fleshed out Zondervan dictionary, I actually don't rock with the Zondervan because of its racist past, but you will find that when they refer to not the Negroes or the dark races, the non-Hamites, because they don't classify the Negroes as actually humans. They classify the Negroes as subhuman species, so they don't even give them the dignity of even being Hamites. They classify them as something substantially different because it justifies their mistreatment and uses of enslavement of people, because they looked at us as chattel. And so I would never personally ever use that dictionary or that definition respectfully because it reinforces the racist narrative that still exists today, and it's seen that black people, the dark races like ourselves, are less than human, and therefore should not be treated as such from a citizen standpoint, medical standpoint, healthcare standpoint, education standpoint, et cetera, even this year, 2023. So yeah, I would never do that. As far as Africans are concerned, again, using your definition, I stand on the premise that that the Bible doesn't necessarily go into a whole continent. So you get those under Ham, those nations that would be more advantageous to what we would call East Africa today. But if you're asking about who we are, I believe that our people come from primarily Central and West Africa, and we use this based off of genetics, DNA testing. As one, I don't know if you agree with DNA testing or not, but again, you're asking me for my answer. DNA testing, the records of those who were taken from Africa via the transatlantic slave trade, because whether you use the term Negroes, Blacks, Africans, whatever, you will also find that they also dictated what tribes they came from, and the numerous tribes that they linked them back to over and over. And so you will see things like Mandinka, Mende, Asan, Ashanti, and so forth, that are tribes that still exist to this day in Africa. And they literally are people from the late 1700s that are documented coming from these tribes, especially those, again, as I stated before, in the Louisiana region. A great book that you can check out, and she actually just recently passed on here. It's called Africans in Colonial Louisiana. She does an excellent job of breaking down all the different tribal records that the French and the Spanish kept by chance of where they got their slaves from Africa to Haiti, or either directly from Africa to the Louisiana region, coming from New Orleans. So that way you will see, for me, that shows directly that those who enslaved us kept good records of where we came from, our tribal affinities, our languages documented. And then also, if you talk to any cultural anthropologists, they can look at the behaviors of those who, those of us, where you use the term Negro, Black, African American, whatever the case is, Foundation of Black Americans, American descendants, all freedmen, whatever you want to call us. Our culture, as documented over the hundreds of years we've been on this continent, not just here in America, but in the United States of America, but in multiple places in America. They say a cultural connection directly to the people of West and Central Africa. From the food that we make, from the way that we even use the European languages, English, French, Spanish, etc., from the way that we interact as families, from even our worship styles, how we worship, what we worship, from a spiritual style. I think it's no doubt, those are three examples that show no doubt that we come from primarily West and Central West Africa.
And those examples don't prove, those examples don't show and prove anything. You understand? And it's a good thing you was bombing yourself. You understand? Because I'm sure you would think that's the bomb, but it's absolutely not. In Exodus 11, right, and verse 7. Okay, you want a question now? Go ahead, ask a question.
Yeah, because remember we're going to Q&A.
Okay, no sweat. Ask a question.
So the question I would have to you is that, can you document outside of Rudolph Windsor, because I think his Babylon 10:2, I think that's his works have been highly scrutinized. And to have some good solid evidence, you need more than just one scrutinized author. Can you document the idea that there's this mass exodus coming to West Africa in particular from the land of Israel into West Africa, and B, that the majority, I'm going to use the term in the most loose terms, the 50 plus 1% of people taking the transatlantic slave trade that went to the Americas, North, Central, South America, and the islands, also come from Israel. And so, whatever numbers that you want to put on the transatlantic slave trade, I don't know where you stand on that, but can you prove to show that the majority of, if not all, the people that came in the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas were in fact people, Israelites, coming from that migration that you should be able to document outside of just Rudolph Windsor, that great migration coming from Israel into West Africa post 70 AD. So,
absolutely. You understand? There's several different sources. First off, we can go in the Bible, because like I said, that's the one that that's where I'm coming from all the time. All right. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68, this was promised to no other people, that if they disobeyed God, right, he's only the Israelites' God, number one. And the Israelites were promised that if we disobeyed the Most High, that we would go into slavery by ships. No African, I don't care, all 56 of those different countries have any records of any of their people going into captivity on ships. Any African went into slavery on the ship would be a total lie, okay? And there's no proof. I remember when DMG tried to pull one source of one man saying he was an African in the 1800s, you know what I'm saying, and saying he was a slave. That's not proof. You understand? That's not proof, because it didn't happen. But here in Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it says, and the Lord shall, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, you got to know and understand what the Bible means, right? It's filled with symbolics and metaphors. This is symbolic here, right? Saying, because the word Egypt stood for bondage, okay? And the Lord is saying you're going to go back into bondage or slavery again, but this time on a ship, okay? Because the first time we didn't get into Egypt on no ship, all right? And then it says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So what he's talking about there is he's talking about our homeland. You know, we're not going to see our homeland ever again if we disobey the Most High, because we're going into captivity on the ship. And then it says, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So what this is talking about here is this is talking about us. Once we got to our destination, they were going to turn around and sell us to our enemies. So when we went on those auction blocks, right, and all month here in the ISUPK, we've been going over our history here in America. We haven't been bringing out, you know, the great inventions. We've been going and exposing all of the atrocities that has happened to our people since we've been here, and starting with slavery. You understand? And I pull how downtown St. Louis, old courthouse building, is where a lot of us was sold at. Right? We was held in what they call slave pens. We went from a slave pen to the old courthouse. Right? No African, man. You understand? No African was on any slave ship at all. You understand? When Rudolph Windsor had did the research, he said it was filled with Jews. It was filled with Jews, not Africans. You understand? Like, he went and did the real research, okay, and found out who it was that got put on them ships, and it was not Africans. Here it is right here in the Bible, right? That source, like I said, when you look up in Babylon or Timbuktu, because we got the book here, okay, it'll tell you that in the research. And right here, the Lord is talking to the Jews. He's talking to the Israelites. He's not talking to Africans. He's not talking to Hamites. He's not talking to Canaanites. He's not talking to any other people but Israelites. Okay? And then it says we were going to get sold to our enemies once we got here. We turned around and got put on auction blocks soon as we got dropped off here, wherever we got dropped off at, mainly in the South.
That's time.
Okay, go ahead.
That's time. All right, so do y'all want to continue with the Q&A for 5-6 more minutes, or y'all want to open it up to the chat?
It don't matter. You can open up to the chat. What you want to do, bro?
Let's do the chat only because I know that I got to get some stuff done with my wife, and I know I got engagement with DMG afterwards. So.
Okay, no sweat, bro.
Okay. All right, so we're going to take about 3 people from the chat. First come, first serve. No offense, just we got some stuff we got to do. So this is Dagger Squad, and I see a couple members. I will give the squad members preference. So I'm just letting y'all know I do have a bias towards the Dagger Squad. Think what you will. But that being said, I think it's been a cool.
You're a respecter of persons, huh, DMG?
Say what?
I said you a respecter of persons, huh?
Hey man, listen, I don't deny my biases. It is what it is. But look, now you brought my name up, Cap, and you talked about when I had the brother who said he was an African. Now in our debate, you and Officer Cut'em said, okay, so one African came over here. This is what y'all said during the debate. Now you just said then that I can pull this up.
Pull it.
It was a 4-hour show, so I don't know if I got time to. But me and you can watch that later. Y'all said, okay, so one African came over, but this time you just said that was a lie. So again, this brother said out his own mouth, and remember, I didn't just use him. I used several individuals who said they were African out of their own mouths, Cap. Several individuals.
You say you were African out your own mouth.
Remember, my whole point was to show
what's the difference?
What they were saying about themselves versus what anybody else said.
Niggas is saying they Africans today. Out they own mouths.
Me and you can do a part two whenever you feel like it. Right now,
They
I'm gonna get
saying
to my
it.
brother.
Listen, they saying it out they own mouth, DMG. Go ahead.
We got people that got questions. I'm gonna get to my brother Kyle. Jagger Squad up. Who you got a question for, my brother?
Yo, Jagger Squad up all day, man. Hey, peace to you, brother. DMG. And if y'all in the chat right now, you ain't like the video, subscribe. Make sure y'all do what y'all gotta do. Let's do, get a brother his respect.
Yeah,
but so I got a question for you actually. Like, how many questions can I ask the brother?
I mean one each, unless you got two for one of them, because we trying to keep it.
Well, the brother did say he had the
premise before I get to the real question.
Well, the brother did say he had some things to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the only reason. Me and Byron got something we got to do for another project. But other than that,
it's really a yes or no question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do your thing.
Okay, cool. So my question is for the Israelite brother from the UPK, right?
Absolutely.
So do you believe that Yeshua or Yahushua, I'm not trying to be offensive, but whatever name that you would particularly call him,
right?
Do you believe that he died for your sins and forgave you for your sins?
Absolutely, he died for our sins. He was a reconciliation of the people.
So my real question for you is, how do you then go back to Deuteronomy 28 as your premise for the enslavement of African Americans? Because that happened prior to Jesus' death, and use that as the premise for being a Hebrew Israelite when he already died for your sins. Can you explain that to us?
That question don't even make sense, bro. Like we still in our sins today. Our people are still sinning right now today.
Let me reiterate the question.
Go ahead.
Let me reiterate what I'm saying, bro. Mm-hmm. Because if you said specifically that you believe in Yahushua, and Yahushua, he had a mission while he was on the face of this earth, right? And his mission was to die for the sins of Israel.
Right.
Right? And you agree that you believe that he died for your sins, right? How do you then say after he died and he paid for your sins, how do you then go to Deuteronomy 28 as the premise for the basis for the enslavement of African Americans in America, and use that to say that this is justification of that? It either means that either Jesus or Yahushua was a false prophet, or it means that you are not the people of that book. Like, how do you entangle that? Like, how do you untangle that?
I don't even know what you asking. You understand? Because when to say that, okay, I'm saying this is how you know that we are those people by going to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. You do know that, right? So I use that to show that the Most High said that Israelites would go into captivity on ships. And it's been taught to me ever since I was a little kid in classes. Every time Black History Month came up in school, they showed us being brought over here on ships. So I use that to show how Africans are not and Israelites are not the same people. That was my point for using that. So that's what I'm saying. You got me lost with what your question is, because Christ died for our sins, and me using that scripture had nothing to do with each other. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
All right, maybe you'll get that one day. I only had two questions, so I can't dig too much. I appreciate your time, brother. And maybe one day when he was laying in the bed sleeping at night, it's gonna kick in what I asked you. All right, peace to you, DMG.
Hey, I appreciate you, bro.
All right.
Hey, we got the notorious Vic Damone Jr. in the place. Who you got a question for, brother?
I have a question for the brother from ISUPK.
Go ahead, bro.
So for the brother Mike, so it's going to be one of those ones. I'm not going to ask too many questions. Just trying to build, trying to understand. What's the signal in Hebrew for your people to signal when they're speaking metaphorically? What's the signal in Hebrew? So that way we know we're understanding the verse in particular there. properly? Because you talked about the symbolic language. So how do we know that when talking about being taken back in ships to Egypt, that which word particular is being used symbolically?
Oh, okay, first off, you get in class and we'll teach you, you understand, and you'll learn what's symbolic, what's metaphorical, and what's not. But right here specifically, what I read in Deuteronomy 28, when it said you're going to go back into Egypt on a ship, we didn't go into Egypt on no ship. So that obviously was a metaphor. You understand? That meant and stood for something else. You understand? So the men of the Lord that actually got the Spirit, you understand, we can guide you through all things and teach you what's metaphorical and what's symbolic, what's literal. We can teach you all of that. You understand?
Okay. Okay, cool. So good. So next question. Is the word ships, is that symbolic as well?
Say it again now.
Is the word ships, ba'oniyat, is that ships? Is that word for ships?
No,
in
if,
Hebrew,
no, if
is
you
that
was
word, is that
no,
as well?
if you was listening, I didn't say that the ship was a metaphor. I said Egypt. I said that's what was a
Right,
metaphor.
yeah, no.
So the ships, no,
Yeah, I got that.
that was literal, because we literally were
Okay.
stacked like sardines on ships when we came, when our people came here. You understand?
Okay.
So that was
is the
literal.
word Yahweh, is the word Yahweh which follows Egypt, is that one symbolic?
Say it again.
Is the word Yahweh, is that word symbolic there?
What scripture you talking about?
I'm talking about Deuteronomy 28, where it says
What
that
part-
you be
what
taken
part
back
you talking
into, Egypt.
What's
that?
What you said? What word
I'm
you said?
talking about. I'm talking about the word Yahweh. Directly after it says, and it said, by the way, in ships into Egypt, Yahweh says, and that Yahweh will take you back.
Yahweh will take you back. It don't say that.
Yeah.
I don't see where it says
No,
Yahweh
it
will
does.
take you back.
Yeah. So I believe it is. It's verse 68. In the Hebrew, I'm looking at it in the Hebrew. The word Yahweh comes immediately after Mitzrayim.
You talking about the word Lord?
No, I'm talking about the word Yahweh. You're a Hebrew. I thought we could talk about the Hebrew. Yahweh comes immediately after Mitzrayim.
No, it
I'm looking
doesn't.
at the Hebrew text.
It said, this is what it says right here. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Huh?
Yes. Lo lecha amarti asher baderek ba'onit Mitzrayim Yahweh.
And Yahweh is not there. I don't know what you're talking about, brother.
Yahweh is that the very end? No, Yahweh is definitely.
It don't say that after Egypt.
But again, I'm reading it in the Hebrew. You have the Hebrew text in front of you. Okay, well I'll tell you what.
It don't say that. It don't say that in what I'm reading. The word Yahweh. There's nothing behind Egypt but the word again.
Well, no, Mitzrayim. Well, okay, well that.
Mizraim is Egypt. That's Egypt.
I'm understanding. Y'all both reading the Bible, right?
Mizraim is Egypt.
Well, and again, I figure now I'm talking to Hebrew. Yeah, Mitzrayim is Hebrew.
That's Egypt.
My next and the last couple questions here. So is there a grammatical signal here that lets you know when one word out of an entire sentence is being used symbolically or not?
You said what? I just explained it to you. You asked the same thing again. I just explained. We'll teach you what it means, and then I just broke it down and said. I just broke it down and said that the word Egypt was the one that was the metaphor. I said that already. I just said that. And you asking, is Yahweh,
Two more short, that one should have been easy.
is Yahweh metaphor
that one
or
should-
symbolic too?
Yeah, that one should have been an easy one, because it was just yes or no about whether there's a signal, because I just want to know what you teach.
The word is not there.
So here, last two questions.
The word is not there.
Have you ever read Josephus, his?
I haven't read the Josephus in the entirety.
Wars of what happened with the,
I got the book Josephus here, but I haven't read it in the entirety.
And what if I told? Okay, what if I told you that in Josephus, says when the temple was destroyed in AD 70, that slaves were taken in ships to Egypt and sold in the market?
You know what? Chris Harris tried that same thing before, and he wasn't able to show that. So you got the page that it's actually on?
Okay.
Because Chris Harris, I remember he had that same argument, and he wasn't able to show me that too. So you said you can show that in the Josephus?
Well,
because I got the book right here. I can get it if you can point me to it.
Absolutely. I absolutely can. But I'll tell you. So if you'd like, because I know that Byron has more to be and that there's other questions, things like that. Like I said I was going to ask 2 more questions. Just let me know, and we can discuss even afterward, and we can get into all of it. Or another day.
I thought you was gonna pull it
I'm
now.
happy to show it to you.
I thought you was gonna pull it now. That's why you mentioned it.
So Mr. Damone.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Damone, if I may, so you're saying that Josephus said that the Israelites were taken in ships to Egypt.
Correct. Yes.
In antiquity, as opposed to the time frame that we know the transatlantic slave trade occurred.
Absolutely. Josephus definitely says, because when you're so what happened in the war is that his father, because there was a father and son who led Rome to destroy and sack the city there. One came by land, the other one came by sea. And when the son left, he left by sea, and he took with him slaves on those ships. One of the biggest slave markets in the entire world at that time, especially in that area of the world, was in Egypt. And slaves were sold there in Egypt. They left there on ships. Biblical scholars have called this the unexodus. And so even though they didn't go into Egypt on ships, they went in walking on dry land. That's why it's the unexodus. They leave on ships. Instead of walking on dry land, they leave floating on top of it.
And where does
their own volition, like
real quick, where does Josephus say this at? One second, my man. Where does it say that in the Josephus? Let's just get the source.
Oh yeah. Hang on. Let me go grab the Josephus.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab mine too. But here's the thing though. You understand? There's not a record of all the people
we gonna let him tell you. We're gonna let him tell you where it is, and then we're gonna get ready to close out. But I'm willing to have Mr. Damone come back, Cap, and y'all can have this dialogue, because this is heavy. If the Israelites went to Egypt in ships prior to the time frame that y'all have been telling us, then would y'all be saying that this thing occurred a second time? Or does the Bible say that it happened twice?
No, I wouldn't even count that. I wouldn't even count, a small incident, right? Because if this what he's saying is true, and you can find it, it's a fact, right? That they did. One person took how many ships? He said they took 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? One or 2 ships that took some people back to a couple of slaves back to Egypt. I wouldn't even count that at all. That wouldn't even count at all. You understand? Because this is talking about damn near every Israelite going into captivity on a ship, going back to Egypt on a ship. So you got to show where we went all the way back to Egypt hold up. I'm talking about a mass You ain't talking about, we ain't talking about no one or two people or one or two boats. We talking about a whole bunch of us. You understand? So you got to prove that. And like I said, Chris Harris, I remember he brought up
So
the
the
same
Bible,
point.
the Bible. So basically, you saying the Bible gives a number or something like that. What I like to do is invite Mr. Damone Jr. back to have a dialogue with you on this particular bit of information because,
ain't no
like
sweat.
Byron said, he got to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
He got some things to do, and this was, if y'all look on Facebook, this was Pamper my wife day, and I'm gonna go finish get the grand finale of that going as soon as me and Byron get through handling our business. So with that being said, Mr. Damone, if you would indulge us, where can Cap find that particular information, or do you want to save that for y'all discussion?
I tell you what, I'll give him some place he can start looking because I'm doing this. I'm flipping through the books as we speak. But he could go to the Wars of Juice, book 6.
What is it?
409. He could start at verse. He could start at 42.
Say it again.
Say it again. So, like for example, like in 418, it talks about what happened.
Hold on. Say it again. Where you at?
The Wars of the Jews. The Wars of the Jews.
The Wars of the Jews. Okay, go ahead.
Right, and if you go to line 417,
it's cutting out.
and it talks about for those so he talks about all the ones that have been slain, and in 418 it says, and the rest of the multitude that were above 17 years old, he put them into bonds and sent them to the Egyptian mines. Titus also sent a great number into the provinces as a present to them, that they might be destroyed upon their theaters by the sword. And this is a later section. There's a bunch of sections that say this. How Titus traveled. Titus traveled by sea on boats. That's how he came in.
Mr. Damone, stop right there. Stop right there. So, Cap, get that information and look into it. And I'm going to set up not a debate, but a dialogue between you and Mr. Damone. Mr. Damone, salute. I appreciate you bringing that information forth. Let me go in here. I gotta do this real quick. Y'all bear with me. I gotta put this on for the brother real quick.
Your $5 ass down before I make change.
And with that, I'm gonna have Cap and B Wash close out. Mr. Damone, I'm gonna reach out to you so we can set that up. Be Wash, if you will, close out for the people, and then Cap, we're gonna bring this in.
Yeah, so my whole purpose today was just to establish really a premise. I mean, I think that ends up being established. That it took a while, but I think Cap finally came to the conclusion to say that what he's talking about is that basically saying that we come from the Asian continent as Asians, and so I vehemently disagree with that premise. Again, my whole purpose was also to show at least 3 ways that you can find out how we do come from the continent of Africa. I think it's very important for anyone to know that Africa is not a country. It is a vast continent with different people. So just to name, just to call begrudgingly some Africans that you may have an opinion about, and to label all people from the continent is vastly borderline, if not disrespectful in and of itself, because you're denying people their personhood. And so I think that's as people living in this country, I think that's something that, regardless of what your persuasion is, I think that's something that we should know more than most, what it means to deny someone else's personhood and to disrespect them. Regardless if you agree or disagree of your origin from those people. I think it's important that we also listen to the people that were enslaved here. And so I pulled up this book, for example, Autobiography of People, which is one of the books I have. This woman named Belinda, who's talking about her experiences in the 1700s. And the first line literally says, it's coming from the Massachusetts Senate. It says, to the Honorable Senate and the House of Representatives in General Court assembled, the petition of Belinda, an African, humbly shows. So we have evidence here that in the United States House of Representatives in Massachusetts in the 1700s, they're referring to this woman, Belinda, as an African. Further down, it talks about her paying verbatim, quote, was paying her devotion to the great Orisha who made all things, an armed band of men driving many of her white men driving many of her countrymen in chains into hollowed shades and to be shackled into the coast. Here, unquote, this is where she's describing her experiences of coming from the continent of Africa into what is now Massachusetts. And so her statement alone, Belinda, in the 1700s, not only shows that the growing United States government has recognized her as an African and come from Africa, but she also is telling you that what she did and what happened while she was in Africa praying to the Orishas. So I don't think that would be compatible with with an Israelite worldview praying to the Orishas. Also, would also state, for example, another example. This is from a linguistic anthropologist named Thomas Killinger. He's going over the Creole languages in Louisiana, French Creole to be precise. Something that my grandmother spoke as well too, and where she took the French language, but in essence, where you Africanized it. You use African terminology and African understanding to express the language. And those who are studied and know linguistics understand Creole languages such as Gullah Geechee, Haitian Creole, Louisiana Creole. We know in English you call it Ebonics or AAV, things like that. Again, another ode to showing, at least from a linguistic standpoint, the origin of people. And then you have things like this is the African American desk references coming from the New York Public Library, literally out of their vaults. One of the examples I want to show is that I know Cap was talking about the kingdom of Judah, which would have been around the Benin area. But as you can see here, put a little closer, you can see the vast area in which African people were taken from bondage in the transatlantic slave trade. So we're talking about, again, West and Central Africa, millions and millions of people going into the Americas. And I think it's important to note that having, going back to our earlier states, saying that you have a few manifestos, even 1,000 manifestos, of using terms like Negro and Black means that nobody used Africa. I think it's very, very, very an unwise method, because again, you're talking about a process that was hundreds of years, millions of people on continents. Now, unless you can tell me that you went all the way to places like Chile, Brazil, Argentina, and looked at their manifestos, and you can read Portuguese and Spanish and then translate that into English, and you can show that, demonstrate that using all those manifestos, that would be quite amazing. But I don't think you might be able to do that, and that's not even talking about the French and the English, because again, you're talking about all these slave states in the United States, Canada. You're also talking about those who were shipped into Great Britain, in the UK. You had those in the islands, those that are in South America, and let's not forget. And I know DMG, you talked about this before, that the transatlantic slave trade was tapping into an already existing trans-Saharan slave trade with the Arabs. And so these were same people that the Muslims were pulling, the same people going into the Middle East and Arabic countries as well too, which they had linguistic terminology for these same people, referring to them as Africans. They use terms like Sudan and stuff like that, again, to more dark-based people, which would also be very interesting, because you now will have to prove those people to be the same Israelites, because they're in trans-Saharan and transatlantic slave trade were pulling from the same stock of people. So now we must have Israelites all throughout the Middle East all the way to East China, as well as into the transatlantic slave trade, which again, that's a very hard thing to sell. So that's all I got. Hopefully we can keep on building and go from there.
All right, no sweat. I'm gonna go ahead and close out with a couple of scriptures.
All right, Captain K, it's on you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hold on, Cap. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead. I started talking.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I gotta play this before you start talking.
Go ahead.
With you, with the gods as our witnesses, let us pledge that the winner will allow the loser all the proper funeral rituals. There are no paths between lions and men.
All right, go ahead, Cap. I had to do that Lion of Judah thing real quick. Go ahead.
All right, no sweat, brother. Yeah, the topic was, are Africans our people? And the brother did not show any proof whatsoever of Africans being our people or us being the same people, at least. He didn't do any of that, right? And I'm going to close out with a couple of scriptures. This is Exodus 11:7 to show how, like I said, I already read Deuteronomy 28 and 68, where it said who would turn around and go into captivity on a ship, and that was the Israelites. It wasn't the Africans or the Hamites. You understand? It wasn't any of those people. It was only our people. And then it says here in Exodus 11:7, it says, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Those Egyptians are Hamites, right? We read the definition of Ham in the Zondervan. Okay, and the brother gave a poor excuse, you understand, of information. The man said we was monkeys or some nonsense. I keep hearing that, you know what I'm saying, over and over and over again. That does not, you know what I'm saying, take away from the research that they did. They actually went and did research to prove the Bible wrong, and they proved it right. You understand? And one thing that they did prove is that they said that Ham was the progenitor of the dark races. It says the Ethiopians, the Egyptians, the Libyans, the Canaanites, but not the Negroes. You understand? They knew that. They went and said, they found the information, the correct information. Like you brothers thinking that we Africans are our people, and no, they're not. But they went and did some real research instead of just trying to fit in somewhere. You understand? Like what most Negroes are doing is you just want to fit in, you know, instead of finding out who you are for real, you know. And so the Lord said he made a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. That's because it is. We're not the same people. We don't even have the same blood flowing through our veins. Okay, I'm going to read a couple more, then I'm going to get up out of here, because I know y'all got something to do. All right. Uh-oh. 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, this is Zephaniah 2:12. And it says, ye Ethiopians. Now these are Africans. It said also, ye shall be slain by my sword. Why is the Lord going to kill if Africans are our people? The Ethiopians are Africans. You understand? Now we know that that term Africa, you understand, was after a so-called white man. The white man took over their land, you understand, and named it after himself. Okay? And we know that that's not their biblical name. Okay? So we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But the Lord said right here, he's going to kill the Ethiopians. Why, if we're the same people? Why is he going to get rid of them? And then I'm going to turn around and go to one more spot and show you how this thing about being sold to white people by Hamites or Africans is nothing new. And this is Joel 3 and verse 4. It says, yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? This is the Lord talking to Tyre and Zidon. Is both Hamitic kings, right? And then it said, and all the coasts of Palestine. It said, will you render me a recompense? This is what the Lord is asking. And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. This is the Lord talking about us, what they did to us. And then it says in verse 6, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. So what the Lord is saying is, guess what? They're going to pay for the things that they have done to our people. The same way they sold us to the Grecians back then, they sold us to the so-called white man here in America. You understand? And it's all facts. The white man is even trying to change the facts. He's trying to change it. People have been saying, you know, what they say, Africans sold their own people. That's a goddamn lie. Ain't nowhere in history, I don't care how much Africans fight one another. You understand? All 56 of them damn countries don't get along, but guess what? They know that they the same people. And they did not sell their people that they was mad at, like what people like to say, to the white man because they was mad at their grandpa, you understand, for not giving them a toy. So they sold their grandpa. You understand? It just don't make sense. No people did that. No people sold their own people into slavery. You understand? So, like I said, Africans, Hamites, you understand, in the Bible, they've done this to us before, man. You understand? And it is real silly for Negroes in 2023, Africans, you ain't got no African friends. Africans don't even fool with you. You understand? They'll sleep with our women. Hell, who the hell won't? We got the baddest women on the planet. Who won't try to dive up in a sister? But guess what? They don't want to deal with you. They don't deal with you. You understand? Can't no sister go get no job in no braid shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Y'all got to stop with the funny business. Thinking that you are Africans when you are not. You understand? Black people, so-called African Americans, guess what? We have an identity. You understand? We are Israelites, man. And you know what you should do? You should be proud of that. You should rock that culture until you can't rock it no more. You understand? Instead of trying to be an African and putting a bone in your goddamn nose and a plate in your lip, go be a real African. You understand? Don't turn around and get no onks tattooed on you and all them other gods and almonds and rod. Oh, you got one? You got that gay, you got that rod in that vagina on you? You proud of it too, ain't you? You proud of that rod on your own?
You don't want to have that gay conversation.
You proud? Hey, that's a rod and a vagina on you. So you know, you go both ways. Ain't that what that means?
And say the love of a man is like the love of a woman. We ain't gonna do that, Cap.
No, he said surpassed. He didn't say it was like the love of a woman.
Exactly.
Because those two men was at war. You know, those two men was at war with their enemies together. Stop it.
Why make that comparison if it ain't that
Stop it. That wasn't gay at all. Those two men was warring together.
Why make the comparison between the love of a woman and the love of a man?
That's the comparison he made. They out there saving each other's life. They saving each other's life out there in battle.
That's the comparison.
They out there saving each other's life in battle. So like he said,
because that's the cat that you love with.
It ain't gay at all.
In front of him.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
All of that good stuff.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. A kiss in the Bible is not even a smooch on the cheek.
You're not gonna have that.
A kiss on the Bible. You was proud of that rod and that vagina on your arm. You do know that that's a rod and a vagina, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So hey, rock it. Rock that rod on your arm. You got one around your neck too?
It's gonna be there till the day I die.
You got a rod around your neck too?
What you ain't gonna never hear me say?
Huh?
And you my man.
Do you have a rod around your neck?
My mother been in the hospital all week. And one thing you was consistent on doing is calling and checking on my mother. You my man, 100 grand. And what you ain't gonna never catch me doing is saying, my love for Cap surpasses the love of a woman.
Well,
I ain't asked you to.
You never hear me make
guess
that
what?
comparison.
And guess what? Vice versa. Vice
All
versa.
I'm saying is,
I ain't gonna say it.
you ain't gonna never catch me. You gonna never catch a man. You ain't gonna never catch me. A man say, "I want you to go get some ride meat, 100 pieces of ride," and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get 200 pieces of the ride."
But you got a ride around your neck though. But you got a ride. Do you have that aunt?
Understand?
Do you have that aunt that ride around your neck?
We're talking about homosexual
Do you have that ride around your neck?
We got a group of people that's obsessed with penis meat, and my man talk about his love for a dude surpassing the love of a woman. And it's just a lot of sketchy. It's a lot of sketchy stuff in the joint. The dude Paul said, "Greet a man with a holy kiss," but then said it ain't good to touch a woman.
DMG.
No,
just want- I just want-
that kiss that you talking about is not a smooch on the cheek, on the cheeks or the lips.
Cut it out.
No, I'm not gonna cut it
The
out.
dude said kiss a
I'm not gonna cut it out.
But don't touch a woman.
He said it's good. See you taking the Bible all the way wrong. You twisting it. He said it's good not to touch a woman. He said, but if you can't control yourself, then go ahead and marry. That's what he said. He didn't say you couldn't touch no woman. That's not what he said. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie on the Bible. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
Go ahead and finish closing out, man.
Yeah, but anyway, since you brought that up, a kiss in the Bible, it says a common greeting among male relatives, where it says, then they said they touched. It ain't talking about no kiss on no lips. You understand? See, brought up that aunt. You understand? You went all the way left. You put the rod in the air, start showing it and flexing it and stretching it and doing all kind of stuff with that rod. You understand? But a kiss in the Bible just a touch. And you know how we touch? We turn around and dap each other across the back. Bam. Bam. Real hard and gangster. Nigga, we ain't smooching talking about some You understand?
So y'all hooked up when y'all kiss each other.
You said what? I said dap. I said we don't. I said we don't. That's what I just said. But you got a rod around your neck though.
I'm not doing that.
But you do have a rod around your neck. You wear rods around your neck. And I can show you what Paul said. Paul did not say don't touch a woman. He didn't say don't touch a woman. You understand? Like I gotta constantly school. You understand? You cats on the Bible. I know y'all gotta go somewhere. I ain't gonna pull it out. You know what I'm saying? Cause I know y'all got something to do. But look,
Damone wanna have that dialogue on the Josephus joint, so we're gonna put
we'll talk about it. But I'm gonna close with that. Kemet is gay. If you got an ankh on, that's a rod around your neck. You understand? And DMG is proud of it. He has a rod on his arm and around his neck. You understand? But then he's talking about a kiss, which he don't know what he's talking about. Don't mean smooch. You understand? It just means touch, and it's a dap. You understand? That's how niggas greet each other. You understand? That's how real niggas greet each other in the ISUPK. We dap each other up. Bam. Bam. Hit each other's hands like that, and around the back, bam. And then we don't kiss at all, bro. Like I said, that rod that you got, hey, suspect, brother. Suspect, but we can close out, man.
Yep.
We can close out with that.
So look, fam, we gonna be black at you again. This been Paradigm Shift TV 314. That's my brother Cap 10K.
They're right.
Delusional as always.
No, I'm in my right mind. I'm in my right mind. You know.
We're gonna be black at it again. We got the brother Vic Damone who laid down the challenge to my brother Cap 10K. Cap 10K don't run. So they're gonna have a discussion on Josephus making the statement that Israelites were taken to Egypt in ships way back in antiquity when the brother Josephus was around, as opposed to during the transatlantic slave trade, as Cap and other Israelites claim. We also, me and Cap, I'm laying it down right now because he says Kemet was gay. I'm saying the Israelites was homos. So me and Cap can have that dialogue because I got proof that these cats was getting it on in the temple. They was getting it on in the palace. Any old kind of way they wanted to in front of their God. They had an obsession with penis meat. That was their thing. My man told the homie to go get 100 rods, and he said, "No, Doc, I'm gonna get 200." So he literally grabbing the rod and like, listen, man. I just want to say, the homie King David had more on his mind than just rap sheep. My dude went in the cave and got naked with the dude Jonathan, and the Bible say The Bible say the dude Jonathan stripped and gave him all his stuff. Like, listen, man, it say his soul was knit to the dude. This man's soul was knit to another man's soul, and Cap want to talk about other people being gay? Stop with it. Stop with that. My soul ain't never been knit to another man's soul. They soulmates and they men. Hey man, y'all better stop playing with me, man. I'm out, man. This another day.
You playing with yourself.
What is Asian Heritage Month?
Look, I just the Israelites was Asians. It's cats and dogs living together, pandemonium all around. We out of here. That's peace. Oh my goodness. Good dialogue, brothers. Good dialogue.
All good, man. All good. Pete, resend me a link. I'm gonna step away for a minute.